You are live. Cool. We're live. Awesome. That's what we should be. We should always be alive.
Well, yeah.
So, all right. So we got news. Got a couple things of news. Couple new series. Stuff coming out next week. Stuff. FOC. FOC is freaking big.
15, 14
Yeah,
books.
it's quite a
15,
bit.
something like that.
And then the 3 books talk about tonight. As far as like the next monthly retro whatever book,
Mhm.
have we talked? We didn't talk about it specifically.
No,
We
we
just
didn't decide
said
on
we
it.
want to do it. So
Yeah.
since I picked last one, what do you want? Is there something in particular you want to
Oh,
pick?
crap.
I mean, you don't have to say now. I mean, it's no pressure.
Yeah, I'll think about it. No pressure. I'll think about it and see.
Cool.
Maybe I'll come up with something while we're on the air here, and we can get it out.
That'll be good. Yeah, because I saw Steven asking about that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's what made me think about it.
What was that, on the Facebook page?
I think so.
Is
Yeah.
that where it was?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, that'd be a good idea to have that announced. So yeah. So I thought about if we're going to go to the monthly thing, we're talking about doing the first of the week. So we'll have this episode, which is 30. Next week will be 31. Hey, how you doing?
Yep. There we go.
And then I think 32 would be, yeah. So 30, 31, yeah, on the 3rd, or shoot, not the 3rd, the 28th would be.
Oh, yeah.
So
This is 30.
this is Thursday.
31,
Yeah. So it's throwing
and
me off.
32. Yeah. 30 on Thursday.
Yeah. So yeah. So we'll be. So on the 7th, we can start. Oh no, excuse me. 30, 31, 32. So the 7th would be 30. That'd be the first recording week.
Are we going to stay on Mondays, or are we going to go to Thursday with this?
I can do Thursdays now.
But you would prefer Monday?
No, I'd prefer Thursday if
okay.
it's
Well,
flexible enough for you.
Yeah, no, I can do Thursday. Yeah.
Okay.
So then the 24th would be episode 31. The 3rd would be the first available day for March.
Yeah. So that would be the first monthly episode.
Yeah.
So we'd go ahead, since we decided to go ahead and do it on the 1st.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can do, so that'll be 30, 31. So yeah, that'll be 32. And then we'll start whatever the next new show is on the 10th, whatever we decide. And I'm good for whatever you want to do.
Okay. How about we do something from Boombox for the retro?
Sure. Sounds good.
Let's see. We really liked the Gold series when that came out, Midas Flesh.
Oh yeah, yeah, that was good.
That came out in 2013 and 2014, so that's 8 years ago. So I think that counts as being old.
It's old enough, yeah.
Yeah, I say at 53. 8 is old. Yep. Yeah, okay. That was a long time ago. So yeah, how about we do Midas Flesh?
Okay. Oh, I did a Google search for Midas Touch. And I was like, that's
cool.
Not what I was looking for.
What is that? A muffler commercial, right?
That's,
Midas Touch.
Midas Flesh.
Or Shocks. No, I think that's mufflers.
So 8-issue series. Looks like My Comic Shop has all the issues available for about $2 a piece. They're in fine condition.
Well, that's good enough.
Yeah. Or you can get the trade. They also had the trade.
I don't want to trade.
I don't either. This is 2, and they only have one. Okay, so follow this logic, if you will, please. It's an 8-issue miniseries.
Right.
So 2 trades, split it up 4 issues in each. So at $2 a piece, that would make the trade, if you use the same math,
$8.
$8.
Right.
So they don't have volume 1, but they do have volume 2. They have it for $12.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a near mint condition for a trade.
Yeah, so people are going to buy the single issues.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, okay,
Yeah.
good job for swinging your customers that
Yeah.
way. Okay.
Thanks for helping. Jeez. I do really like that series. That was a very, very cool
Hmm.
series. Yeah, it'll be fun to go back and listen to. Go back.
It would be. Yeah, we
We should have done that a long time ago. Apparently.
should go back and
Ugh,
listen to it.
goodness. Alrighty. I have thought about writing scripts down just so I can help me keep myself on track. So I don't
Yeah.
stumble over my words, but that's never gonna happen. So
Well, um, my problem with scripts is that if I have it and I go off script, I tend to kind of lose it.
no.
I get afraid if there's something that I'm going. Whereas if there's something that I want to say and I just simply don't, it doesn't
Mhm.
bother me as much. It's like, oh, yeah.
Right, yeah.
But if I have it written down, I'm like, oh, I got to say that. Oh, we're past that. How can I get it in? Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So I know it's not very. I don't sound very radio. Not that I care, but yeah, I'd off the cuff is definitely the way I prefer.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Let me make a
All
note to
right.
dig out Midas flesh.
Yep.
And do you want to talk about that? I guess on the first monthly show,
Yeah, we can do that.
which would
Yeah.
be what, the third, or did you say to push it to the
That
10th?
would be the third, so in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll order my books tonight.
Yeah, they should have time to come in.
Yeah.
As long as they don't go through DCB, you should get them no problem.
For sure. I did get that email.
Ouch.
I was like,
Deep
hey,
cut
it's
there.
Doug. Doug. How you doing, Doug?
Oh, what? Somebody said, hey, all right. Hey, Doug. What's up, man?
So we are getting ready to start, kind of getting all of our ducks in a row. Talking about our upcoming retro book. I guess we can talk about the new schedule at
Yeah,
the end of the show.
probably. Well, if we go long, though, will everybody have gone on?
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about it at the front of the show.
Because if we, if we're here for 2 hours, I don't know that everybody will hang out until 11 o'clock Eastern. So,
well, that's okay. I tend to check out about 9:30 anyway. So.
oh, do you? Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm on pure remote.
Yeah, you're on cruise. It's okay. I got you.
Like, oh yeah, I was asleep a while ago. Sorry, did we?
Yeah. What did I say?
What
What
did
were
I
we
say?
gonna do?
I never know. There's something I get an email. Hey, you said no, I didn't. I don't remember saying that at
That's
all.
why you enjoy editing the show so much, is because it reminds you of what you said.
Yeah, like hey, oh yeah,
I did say we would do that, didn't I?
I
Okay.
did. That sucks. I did talk about posting old episodes. I
Yeah.
keep forgetting
Oh,
that.
yeah.
That's a thing. So, all right, I did think about that though. I thought about that today. It's like, oh yeah, I should have posted that. Thought about a lot of things today in my spare time as I was in between projects. I was just like, it's like, hey, here's the thing. Okay, I can't tell if it's the seat that's making my back hurt worse, or because my chest has finally started to hurt again today. That's not good.
Oh,
Well, it's been okay the last couple of days. I've even told Karen that, which is so nice for her that I haven't complained about it.
right.
But she's like, yeah, we know, Chris. We're good. Thanks. I'm like, no, it really hurts. I swear. It's like, I promise you, I would not complain this much. And she's like, yeah, sure you wouldn't.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's right back in the same spot again. All right, cool. All right, let's move on past Chris's I'm getting old pains and and move forward. So, all right, you ready to go?
Yep.
We'll see what happens. I had to take my glasses off because I was reflecting so much it was distracting. And my
I
glasses.
would, but then I won't see shit. So.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I
I'll
can't.
probably put them back on a little bit later. My eyes are strong enough right now, but yeah, another hour or so, and I'll start to get a headache and be like, what's going on over there? So it'll be. I would definitely probably. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. All right, close enough to quarter after, so we'll get started in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to Boom Addiction. This is episode number 30 of season 3. I am one of your co-hosts, Mr. Chris Barton. I don't know why I call myself Mr. And with me, as always, is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you?
I am. Yes, I'm glad to be here. Oh,
It's still very weird saying it, with the camera looking straight in your face. And
yeah.
it's a little, yeah.
After much time, much years, much episodes. Yeah.
I feel like as I go back and edit the shows and everything and get them posted, it's that intro part that I'm like, I'm not nearly as loud and as not obnoxious as I used to, because I feel like Ed's gonna look at me like, what the
What are
frick are
you
you
doing?
doing?
What is that? No, not
So
at all, man.
yeah. So yes, we have to do a show sort of in for two audiences. We have to do it for the live audience who comes and checks us out on YouTube.
Yep.
And then we have to do it for the future audience who are going to listen to us the audio show through our podcast stream. So it is a little strange, but we're managing through this transition time as we do new things. So
Trying to keep the old school and the new school both going.
yeah, so it's a little awkward for us, but we're getting there. Cool. So I guess we go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and start things off talking about additional changes
Okay.
that we're going to do. So Ed and I have sort of off and on been talking over the last couple of weeks about doing some new stuff, some new podcasts and stuff like that, talking about different things. Mainly because there's some weeks where Boom's books we only get like 1 or 2 books. There's some weeks we get like 8 books. So it's so it's kind of like and then we still don't talk about all of the books just for various reasons and things like that. So we thought it might be fun to not do like a brand new like a Marvel show talking about all the new Marvel stuff, but like do a couple of different things where we do sort of limited runs on a topic, and that limited run could be 30 episodes or something like that, or it could be
Right.
10 episodes. We really hadn't figured all that out. It really kind of depends on the topic and what we're going to do. So we've been throwing around topics offline to what we want to do and stuff like that. So one topic I thought was really neat that I would have never thought of that Ed brought up was Ben Riley. So kind of give us a little bit of why you decided Ben Riley was something that you want to talk about.
Well, a couple things on and off. I've read his stuff as he has popped in and out, probably over the last 6 or 8 years, a couple times. And just the concept, what really intrigued me about the character is, what if he is the real Peter Parker?
Oh
yeah. And I mean they as much as you can believe them in comic books have said no, that's not the case.
right.
Peter is the original, Riley is the clone. And I'm like, well, but because you've said that, at any point now in the future, a creator can come on and say, oh no, this is the original. And so just the fact that is there, the fact that right now he not only took over one of the main books, but I think he's getting his own book, right? Isn't this number 1 that's going to be coming out? Isn't that Ben Riley?
Yeah, so he is currently the current Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man right now with the Beyond storyline.
Right, in the
so
BEY
they do have
books.
they do have a mini series that's out right now that's a flashback story, kind of in the same lines as a lot of other characters are doing right now. One in particular, like Maestro, they're doing Peter David's doing a bunch of those kind of things. So it's
Right.
still in continuity, as far as those stories go. But yeah, and even Spider-Man, I think it's Peter David's even done the symbiote spider Batman
Okay,
stories.
right, right,
So all still part of continuity and everything, just sort of untold tales. And so
right.
I think the current miniseries is that it takes place while he's, I think while he was Spider-Man back in the 90s, right
Okay.
after the Clone Saga.
Yeah, so I mean, just, the combination of, well, it's always been now, I will say that I am a very much a Spider-Man neophyte.
Mm,
Not, I wouldn't say a virgin because I lost that a while back, but a neophyte as far as any extended. Now, the hit and miss storylines, the characters,
hmm
Venom, Carnage, Spider Island, Spider-Geddon, particularly within the last 10 or 15 years, I probably either am aware of or dipped my toe in. Anything longer than that, no, because I still had the X offices up my behind then, so I didn't have room for anything else.
Right. Yeah.
But as you
Yeah.
get older, some things expand, and I have more room in my behind for more than
Oh,
just the
okay.
X books. That's
Well,
yeah. So
that's good to hear.
well, it's an age thing. Anyways, so that's why I thought of just taking a look at some aspect or
Yeah.
his entire aspect or whatever, but something having to do with Ben Riley because
Yeah.
he's in the zeitgeist right now.
Yeah. No, and that'd be cool. I've got, I mean, we'll say an extensive history reading Spider-Man books, dating all the way back to the Inferno crossover, because it was an X-Men thing, and that's kind of how I got more exposure to the Marvel universe because I just bought all the tie-ins. So buying, issue 311 and I think it was 310, 311, or 311 and 312, whatever. Green Goblin was on the cover, and it's Todd McFarlane art, and
Ooh, right.
all
Yep.
so it's it's right in prime, you know location for really sort of dynamic storytelling. Um, so yeah, so I mean, I've been reading off and on since then, and have recently come back to reading Amazing Spider-Man because Ben Riley was in it. Um, it's one of those things. I like the character a lot, and so when you brought it up to sort of focus, I was like, yeah, that'd be neat. And then you start looking back at like, here's all of his history, and it's
Yeah. It's
super convoluted.
yeah.
So I don't. We haven't discussed kind of format and kind of what we're really going to focus on and stuff like that. Other than this, maybe we'll talk about the current miniseries and then sort of expand from there. Maybe go back and look at some sort of classic story arcs and stuff like that. I don't think we're going to cover like the Clone Saga or anything like that. Maybe, I don't know. We'll touch on
Well,
it.
I mean that more or
It's
less is
hard
his
not to.
origin, but yeah, that's like wow.
Yeah. So we're still kind of ironing all that out, but that is something that we're going to talk about. So we'll run a series of episodes talking about Ben Riley. We've talked about a couple different things um, for some of the other weeks. So what our plan is starting the first week of March is that we'll do Boom Addiction on the first week, and so it'll be you know technically a monthly show or once a month show. So we'll do that, and then we'll do the Ben Riley focus. However, I'm sure we'll come up with a cool podcast name for that, so we can market that way. But yeah, it'll be a monthly podcast or a monthly show talking about Ben Riley. Again, we'll give you guys some more details as we get closer to that. That'll be second week. Third week, we'll talk about another thing. We've talked about doing Painkiller Jane, which is a personal favorite of mine from way back when. Ed, again, probably not as detailed. Is that right? As far as how much you've read?
I have read most of the event stuff, but I
Oh,
haven't
okay.
read too much outside of that.
Okay. Well, and there's not a whole lot, but yeah. So that's good. All right. So we're a lot closer together than I initially thought, which is good. So
Probably closer on that than on Ben Riley, to be honest.
probably.
So
So that's good. So we may still do that. I have reached out to Jimmy Palmiotti about it just to kind of get some info, and he has said that if we need him on the show, to let him know, and he'd be more than welcome, or be more than happy, he'd definitely be more than welcome
Yeah,
to come
definitely.
on the show, but be more than happy to come on the show and talk about his character, that he and Joe Quesada, created way back in the '90s. Um, and then that fourth week, we're kind of up in the air about. We really hadn't narrowed that down. So if you guys have got a suggestion, not saying we're going to take it, but kind of just gives us more to think about,
Right.
topics and stuff like that. We talked about maybe doing like a DC focus show, but I don't even know what we would do for that
Yeah.
because neither one of us really read a lot of DC. I mean, I'm a long-standing Teen Titans fan, a long-standing Nightwing fan because of Teen Titans. Um, that's really it. I mean, I'm a big Green Arrow fan, but there's not a Green Arrow series right now, unless you want
Mhm.
to read Justice League, and that's getting ready to end because they're going to kill everybody. Maybe.
They're all gonna die. They're gonna be killed. Heads up.
so, so something like that's going to happen. I'm sure Doomsday's involved. So yeah. So we're still kind of ironing out all of those details, but we'll definitely let all of y'all know more about that as we get closer. Because, like I said, we'll still have weekly episodes of Boom Addiction leading up to that, and then, like I said, first week of March we'll still have a Boom Addiction podcast for March. We are going to move our show, our live recordings, our YouTube show. We're going to move that from Monday nights at 9. We're going to move that to Thursday nights at 9 to give us some additional room to kind of get stuff going. Plus, it kind of, we started doing it on Monday for reasons, and then, Thursday became a little more because we used to record on Thursdays.
Mhm.
And so we're just kind of moving that back to when it feels best. We're going back old school, so we're bringing back
That's it.
old
Yep.
school schedule. We're doing a lot of new stuff, but let's bring the schedule back. So yeah, so the hope is get the YouTube show on Thursdays, and then we'll say Saturdays at the latest. We'll get the audio podcast out for you guys. Uh, I'm saying that out loud, so that puts a little pressure on myself, and so I'm trying to be accountable. And when I'm not being accountable to myself, things kind of go a little haywire, and I can easily be distracted. So and so I say that to kind of give me some, like I said, some accountability on that. So if you don't get a show on Saturday, uh, be sure to
At,
message me.
at him.
Yeah,
At Chris Parton. Hey
yeah. Be
yo.
sure to let me know,
Yep.
and I will do my best. Weekends are always a little crazy, so I will do my best to get it edited on Friday afternoons and get it up. It'll just be easier for myself. But either way, it'll be up there, Saturday at the latest. So, all right. So that's all the announcements as far as like house cleaning, keeping.
Housekeeping, house cleaning,
It's
both
all
of
the
them.
same thing, I'm
House.
sure.
Yeah.
So,
Speaking of house,
mhm.
have you seen the show The Gilded Age?
No, but my wife is watching
I
it.
was gonna. Oh, really? I was gonna say
Yeah.
I think you and your wife would enjoy that. It
Okay.
is. It is probably for me and what I know of TV, and I don't watch a whole lot, but it probably is the most smartly written television
Oh,
show
nice.
that I know of right now.
Cool. Yeah,
It's
she's
yeah.
been keeping up with it.
Oh,
So,
it's very entertaining.
yeah, I'll have to ask her. I know she likes it because it was coming on, I guess, sometime this week, or she was watching an episode this week, maybe,
Yeah,
or maybe it was this weekend.
Monday or Tuesday nights, I think one or the
Okay,
other
it was
is
one of
when it
those
comes.
nights, yeah.
And it
But
just got a second season order too.
oh, cool.
Yeah,
So
you see Terry giving me
yeah,
away there.
so
Yeah,
apparently,
okay.
oh, okay. So if you like it,
Well,
odds are,
I said it's very
oh,
very smartly written. I appreciate the things that are said and the timing of when they're said on that show. It's very much a gosh. I wish I could talk like that too, but you know.
well, I'll check it out. Well, we'll see. Well, I'll report back.
Okay.
Because, like I said, she kind of keeps up with those things and watches them either the night they come out or maybe the next day. So I'm not around, she's watching stuff. There is no, like, she knows I don't have to wait for Chris.
Right, there's no
Chris
wait.
doesn't watch TV, so
Right, it's just I wasn't able to hear, so I will hear.
yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
don't know what you're doing, but yeah, this is
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing.
All right, let's go ahead and jump over to uh, FOC. I was trying to do two things at once,
Okay.
and that's never a good thing for me. So,
Okay.
oh, very flickery.
Heads up.
Gosh, sorry.
Avert your eyes. Don't throw up.
Let me. Sorry about that. That was
Not sure
so.
what.
Apparently, my screen is Hmm. Let me see here. That's a little. I would like to show that if possible. We'll try it one more time. Please close your eyes, everyone, if you're watching us live, so that we don't give you seizures. But let's see. Oh, we're good. Okay,
Oh,
everything's good to
okay.
go.
There we go. Yeah.
That was very strange. So
Okay.
lots of flickering, but now that's all seem to be good. So all right. So FOC. So these are due February 21st, which is next Monday. Again, we're recording on Thursday, the 17th. So hopefully you will have time to, if any of these things interest you, be able to get up with your shop. I have a couple shops that I use FOC with. My local shop always wants their stuff in by Thursday, or not Thursday, Saturday. I'm thinking today is Thursday, but orders in by Saturday because they do their orders on Sunday and they have a lot going on. So they always try to do that. So just because it says orders due on Monday, that is the latest that Diamond will take them. So please be sure to check with your LCS and see when they put in their orders. So just kind of be aware of that. So coming out, or at least on our FOC, is Angel number 3 of 8. We'll be talking about issue number 2 on the show today, so be looking forward to that. Only cover A, so I'm sure there'll be some additional ones. They don't have a ton for Angel, which is good, but they can always release a few more.
They make up for numbers with other properties.
Yes, for sure.
So
Basilisk number 8, a couple covers there. I don't know if you're on the TikTok there, Mr. Moore.
no.
So I am a person who is on there and comments on other people's videos. So there's a lot of comic book related folks that I follow and collectors and stuff like that. And so a guy asked yesterday, what is your favorite Boom Studios book?
Oh, cool.
And so in my bio, I mean, I don't post anything on there as far as like videos and stuff, but I at least have a bio that says I'm a co-host of the Boom Addiction podcast. And so I was like, well, you asked the right person, and so I started listing a bunch of stuff. Apparently in your comments you can only use 150 characters.
Oh.
So I ran out of space,
Ran
had
out
to
of room.
re-edit and re-edit. And
you're like, let me rethink. I got to
prioritize.
prioritize.
I got to prioritize. But I did put that Basilisk is probably my favorite book that's currently being published.
And I understand anybody that's been listening to you here on the show now that Maw is gone, Basilisk would take the place.
Yeah, but it was just like I started listing stuff and then it was just like I kept typing it and I looked up and I'm like, wait a second, I typed more than that. And it was like,
really,
it's 150 characters. Dang it!
Why did it stop?
Yeah, so it was too many books to put on the list. So
Basilisk is pretty high, if not the top of my list. There might be one or two that they would argue, but yeah, Basilisk is definitely in the top 5 for me.
Oh yeah, and all of you know how much a fan I am of like Once and Future. So I mean, for me to not mention that was in the list, and Something Is Killing was in the list, Maul was in the list, Eat the Rich, But then, like I said, the list just kept going. I was like, oh, he asked what my favorite was. So I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, and Maul and Eat the Rich are done. So you're like, oh, and if you want to read something else, that conversation. But as far as current, you should have something that's coming out. That way people can go and get it.
Yeah. And it was kind of neat because I did see that on someone else had done a duet with that, and so they were talking about Maw being one of their favorite books, and so they kind of went into why that is and everything. I was like, oh, this is so good. So TikTok has been fun for me as an old man comic fan, going through and finding folks that are much younger than me as well as a little older than me, talking about Boom Studios and the books that they like, and how much, you know, how diverse the picks are, but every time they talk about why they like it, it's very similar to the reasons that you and I talk about.
Okay.
So I feel like those books are doing are have universal appeal,
Right.
which has been
Right.
fun to
For the
watch.
same reasons. If
Hmm.
yeah, yeah, that's cool.
So, all right. So, Faithless Volume 3, Number 2. And there's a couple covers for that. House of Slaughter number 4, second printing. And I don't think the second printing was listed earlier in the week because I looked on Tuesday. I don't remember seeing it. So this is again Thursday. So that's another example that don't just look on Tuesday when they first get posted. As far as FOC, be sure to come back during the week, especially Thursday and Friday, because that's usually when they
Right.
publishers send out press releases and
Right at the end of the
stuff.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they'll talk about these things. So always be sure if you're into second printings or third printings or whatever. Um, Once and Future trade paperback volume 4, which is cool. Get caught up on that. Power Rangers number 17. We'll talk about 16 tonight. I don't know how much of 16 we'll talk about tonight, but we'll at least talk about 16 a little bit.
Now 16 is the last issue by Dude, right?
Well, I hear rumor of that, but then I looked at the solicitation for 17, and Parrott is still the writer on it.
Oh, okay. I thought
So I
that it
thought he
was like
was
word
done.
that had
Yeah,
come out. Yeah.
that
Okay.
was so. It may just be the solicitations haven't been updated because they didn't know at the time.
Hmm.
Maybe I don't know, but
Okay.
yeah, that is something that is probably worthwhile looking into and seeing. But yeah, I have definitely heard that as well.
Okay.
So let's see. Power Rangers got a couple covers there regarding matter of Oswald's body, number 5 of 5. I'm looking forward to talking about issue 4 tonight.
Okay.
That was an interesting read. And then Something Is Killing is back with issue number 21.
Yes.
I know
Yes.
I know you were very excited for that.
Yes.
Um, I did not. I pre-ordered, or obviously I've got Something Is Killing on my pull list, but I have stopped picking up variant covers. Like I stopped a while back. But this cover B's, the die cut mask. I'm just gonna look for it in the store because I'm
Oh,
curious
okay.
on what
I want to see it.
I want to
Okay.
see it.
Hmm. Okay.
I want to
Yeah.
see what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay. All
And then
right.
there's the die cut bloody variant, which I'm an old
It's
school,
going to be
you
very
know,
similar, but you've got the yeah the
I'm a very old school like Blood Strike. Is it Blood Strike? Blood? Yeah. What's that other brigade team? Young Blood?
blood
Blood?
strike or blood pool. Blood
Blood
pool was a
Pool.
character, so blood strike
Yeah.
would have been the team.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm blanking. Either way, um, they did blood on the cover, and it was really cool. I want to see what this looks like because this should be super creepy.
Die cut and bloody.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it says there 4.99, which is a buck more. I'm sure that has something to do with it. The cover is gonna be a little more. It's probably gonna be card stock or something
Yeah.
to that
Heavy
effect.
stock, or it'll be a
Yes.
double cover with a cover and then
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
die cut cover over top. Yeah.
So I'm gonna look for those so I can see what
Well,
I'll report back.
I was gonna say, if you do pull one and you bring it home, you're gonna have to show it. Just
Yes.
because now that you have described, I'm a little interested too. It's like, yeah,
I'm sure you
what does
are.
that look like? What really?
That's what I'm here for, folks. I'm here to corrupt the innocent.
I'll go
So
on my Facebook group that I lurk on and say, hey
yes.
guys, can somebody hook me up? Yeah, they'll be
Yep.
like, newbie, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay.
yeah, so that's all that's that's all that's coming out. Again, FOC is due on the 21st, but your shop may be a little different. So just be sure to catch up with them and and ask. It's always good to have communication with your LCS in these times when you want to order books. They want to order the book for you. They want to make money. They want to make a sale. Most
Well,
of them do, I should say.
yeah, I was gonna say most.
Most want
We
to
do
do
hear
that.
those stories about somehow shops staying in business that don't want to do that, but
Yeah,
yeah,
we have heard rumors. Not that we've had anything in front of us before.
no,
Are you sure you don't want to sell this? Okay, all right,
yeah, really.
sure. So, um, yeah. So, okay. So, books that are coming out next week. Oh Lord. Actually, let's talk about the books that are coming out this week, or have already come out, just because we like to make fun of how many variant covers there are. So yeah, we've already talked about some of the books that are coming out through FOC, but this week, Angel #2 came out, 4 covers for that. House of Slaughter 3 second printings on that. We have the regular cover, which is in color, and then we have the black and white variant. Um, I kind of like the black and white variants more, just because
I,
I like the line art.
yeah, yeah, just straight line art. If
Yeah.
it's an artist that I enjoy
Hmm.
seeing, I definitely enjoy it without the color. And even if they can get away with it without inks, I really
Yeah.
enjoyed pencil, not the blue line pencil, have you, but a finished pencil.
Yeah. And sometimes those are hard to come by, but I do like it
Yeah,
when they do put them out. Yeah. Power Rangers #16. That's got one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight variant covers, or excuse
yeah,
me, one
that's
regular, 7 variants.
that's pretty standard.
Yeah,
A
with like
B C D E F
four,
G
five,
H. Yeah.
5 Virgin variants. Anyway, um, and then Princess Who Saved Her Friends hardcover. This came out, and this is written by Greg Pak and Jonathan Colton.
The
If you remember
musician?
the musician.
Oh, I didn't
And it's
realize that.
based, I didn't either until I started to look at it today. It's based off of some of his music,
A
much
Colton
like,
song. Oh man.
but Greg Pak, the two of them did, what was the
Code Monkey.
Code Monkey? They did the Code Monkey book.
Yeah, they did. I
So,
was just looking at that earlier today, as a matter of fact,
oh, cool.
for some other reason. That's why I remembered that Greg Pak was
Did
the
you
one
get a
involved in
copy
it.
of it? Because I didn't.
I kickstarted it, so I got
Oh,
all of
sweet.
them. Yeah,
Nice. That was one thing I hate that I didn't do.
that's an awesome song too.
Yeah, oh yeah. I probably was listening to Jonathan Colton within the
Now,
last week or two.
I have to say this in case she's still online. Terry Moore likes Skull Crusher Mountain. That's her
Oh
favorite
yeah,
song.
that's
My favorite is Code Monkey, but
yeah.
that's
Oh, I'm a big fan of that entire album.
yeah.
Uh, I introduced my kids to that on a road trip, and then they were sort of captive audience, and they didn't really like it at first, but I think after about the second or third time through, they
Yeah.
were
It
they were they
and
had to like it. So
and I think also, well, yeah, a lot of his songs are a little bit thinky. So
yeah,
if you get to a point in your personal development, whether it's age or experience or whatever, that you listen to the lyrics and think, I think they become much more entertaining,
for sure.
taken as a whole, So
Yep. But it's good stuff. So that kind of, like, I was interested in this. I didn't think it was going to be. It's a boombox book, so
Okay.
I
I'll have to
knew
look a little bit
it was
more into that then.
probably going to be under my age group. But once I looked a little more into it today and saw that Greg Pak had written it with Colton, I was kind of like, And then I flipped through some pages. It looks really, really good.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So now I'm kind of like, maybe I don't pick it up for myself. I might pick it up for one of my niece or my nephew or something like that, and let them let me know what they think.
Or well, I was gonna say, but before you pass it on, of course, you'll read it to make
Oh,
sure
for
it's
sure.
appropriate, and
Oh,
then
for sure.
yeah, yeah,
For sure.
you'll take the bullet on that one.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
Doug, absolutely. I have been a Jonathan Colton fan since way back in the beginning of podcasts when he did
Mhm.
his thing a day.
Yep.
For those of you that may remember that, yeah, I have followed and been a fan of his since then. Him and another artist by the name of George Robb. Very early on in podcasting. Um, his website, Chris George Robb, is like geologictheory.com or
Oh, okay.
geologic something. I forget what the name of it is, but George Robb was kind of that. I believe then, I don't know if they still use the word, but his music was called filk, right?
Okay.
Do you remember hearing that
I don't
acronym?
remember if I've heard that before.
Fictional folk, and they
Well, I've
like
heard that. Yeah.
like
So,
the Sea Monkeys. They're a
yeah.
group that supposedly were in that genre, and I don't know if they still use that word anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I
You'd
hadn't
have
heard
to
it.
look at tracks at Dragon Con and see how the
Oh,
music is
gosh.
labeled. That because of course that is the indicator of what we're supposed to know is what goes on at Dragon Con.
Oh, Lord.
I mean, the
Yeah. I'm out when it comes to Dragon Con. Been once.
oh, really? It's on
Oh,
my Mount Rushmore of things to do. I want to go to
um,
a Dragon Con.
so many, many years ago, this is so I moved to Atlanta on Labor Day weekend back in 2009, 2000, yeah, something like that. I think it's 2009. So Labor Day weekends when Dragon Con is. And so I had heard of Dragon Con but didn't know anything about it. So I didn't live in downtown Atlanta. Nobody does. Well, some people do, but I can't afford it. So I kind of heard rumors of it and stuff like that prior to that, but didn't really know what it was. It really does take over Atlanta. Like it was on the news and all this other stuff. So the
Cool.
next year, um, some folks that you may know, John Lovelace and Charlie
Yes.
Huffman,
Okay.
um, back when they had alternate
Alternate
reality,
reality. Yeah.
this was not this no slight on either one of them, but this was during one of the times where they were like, you know what, I think we're probably done with the show.
Ah,
And they and I say that jokingly because they've done that. They did it 3 or 4 times. But this was one of their like, this is gonna be our farewell thing. So they decided that they were gonna go to Dragon Con,
wow.
and they drug me along. I mean, they paid for my trip. Well, they paid for my ticket, not my trip. I live there. So they came down, but also Eric Peterson and
Okay.
a couple of his buddies, because that is their convention. Like apparently, they had been going for years. I don't know how long, but Dragon Con was kind of like their hangout. So they would come up from Florida and they would come hang out for the weekend and all this other stuff. So everybody, in that sort of group, because we all did alternate reality together, because I was guest on their show for a while, and Eric was too. So it was just sort of this big alternate reality get together. Um, I I am not a cosplayer. I don't know how many of y'all listening, have been to Dragon Con or know of Dragon Con, but it is a gigantic cosplay mecca. Like, I don't do that, but I really dig checking out costumes and stuff. And I was in the smallest minority that I could be not being in costume there. It
Okay.
was, say there was 20,000 people there. I may have been one of like 1,000 that weren't dressed up. So they had big parties on, I think it's Friday night. That because it takes place in all the hotels that are right there together in downtown. That are some of them are connected by bridges and stuff like that. So there's a lot of just walking around and interacting and hanging out and drinking and all of this stuff. So it was a sight to behold. It was way more than I was ready to take in as far as just my sensory overload. And then we went and did a podcast after that. And
Cool.
so there's an episode of Alternate Reality out there where we talk about all that stuff. I still say to this day, it was probably the most interesting con that I've ever been to, that I will never go back to, because I don't think going again for me would duplicate that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like me going to Vegas. I went to Vegas one time, was overwhelmed by it the first time, and then I went 5 or 6 more times, and it just sort of didn't lose the luster, but it was just kind of like, oh, I've been here before.
Okay.
I kind of know where everything is now. I kind of know what to expect. So nothing surprised me. And so, even got a knife pulled on me. didn't shock me at that point. I was just kind of like, all right, we've been here before. Not really, but I mean, but it's just kind of like, it's like, okay, well, old hat. But if you've never been, I highly recommend it. It's
I want to go
definitely
once. Yeah.
definitely worth at least the trip. And I think they still do the tiered tickets. So
Mhm.
the closer you get to the con, the more expensive the ticket gets. So if you are interested in going to Dragon Con, again, they may not do it now, but they used to do it. So as soon as you hear that the tickets are on sale, go ahead and buy them. So you may be only out $50 or $100 or whatever
Right.
instead of $250.
Right. Right.
So anyway, that was my Dragon Con trip. It's really
Cool
cool.
beans. That
So
makes me
yeah,
want to look up that episode of Alternate Reality. I wonder
it
if all
makes me
those
want to
are
go back.
online somewhere.
I'd have to check with John or Charlie. Actually, I think he was the one that was posting a lot of the old stuff. But yeah,
Okay.
there's some. Oh man, I love that show.
And that was 2009 or 2010?
It's probably 2010.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
check that out. So,
The
and if you find
2010
it, let me know.
Dragon Con episode. Okay. All right.
Oh, Doug, I gotta tell you, it sounds like a blast.
Oh,
It
yeah.
freaking.
Yeah.
It
Oh
was.
man.
It's.
Yeah. It it
Um,
it becomes the geek, nerd, whatever other descriptor, center of the universe for that weekend.
well, I love hearing people who have never gone before. Again, because I've only been the one time, so it could be different now. I mean, keep in mind that was 10 or 12 years ago. So,
I don't figure it's any different.
but yeah, I mean, I doubt it is, but I love hearing people who have gone to it for the first time talk about it
Mhm.
because it's sort of the same. Like, oh my god, I did not know what to expect. Unless you're a cosplayer and you just kind of know it.
Right. Yeah.
You've been in that sort of atmosphere before. I don't know. It's a thing, but yeah, it's a blast. Um, all right, so stuff that's coming out from Boom next week. There's a lot. Look at this. Holy cow, there's a lot coming out next week.
Yep. You were talking
Um,
about covers, man.
yeah.
There's
So,
only like 3 books, but each one has like
that's
27
true.
covers.
That's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, all new Firefly. So we got a new series. So that's got 7 covers there. Um, and so Berserker's back with issue 7. So that's got 8
8
covers on
covers.
that.
Yep.
We've got Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer #1 second print. So that's out. Eve trade paperback. That's a good one. If you
That
did
was
not,
yeah.
yeah, if you did not listen to us talk about Eve, I highly recommend going back and listening to those episodes when we talk about each issue. I think we both really dug it.
Yeah.
The trade paperback is well worth picking up if you haven't read it before. Getting Dizzy into that series 404. It's next week. 4 covers for that. How appropriate. House of Slaughter #5. This will be the last issue of this current story arc. So that's 8
8.
covers for
Mhm.
that. One that I'm looking forward to next week is Killer Affairs of the State #1 of 6. This is, I think this is it's either volume 5 or 6 of the Killer series. There hasn't been one in several years, 4 or 5 years, I think. So if you've not read Killer, I recommend it. The art in it is really good. I mean, it's a French. I think it's a French series that Archaea got the U.S. publishing rights to, way back before they were acquired by Boom, and then when Boom acquired them, they continue to have those publishing rights. But I do think this is a new series, like it wasn't previously published in French, and now it's in the U.S. I think this is just a brand new series that Boom is publishing. So 6 issues for that. That's got 6 covers for that. Um, I think I've seen the main covers for that. They look good. And John Boy Myers, I don't know if any of y'all have seen his covers. He's been doing a bunch of them for Marvel and DC. Um, his covers are super super dynamic,
Mhm.
loads of energy. Um, so anytime I see a cover that he does, if I can afford it, which it looks like he's doing cover B, so I'm probably can afford it. I tend to pick those covers up, just to have in my collection. He's really really good. And then Power Rangers Universe number 3 of 6 with 7. Is that right? 7 covers. Yep, 7 covers.
Yeah.
So you were right. There's like only 4 or 5 books.
Yeah, really, just but 2 pages of listing
Two.
with all the covers, so
Yep.
yeah.
So so cool. Lots of books coming out next week. So that'll give us a lot to talk about for the next show. So that'll something to look forward to. So all right, let me quit sharing my screen there. And then we can start jumping into news. I know you had some, I guess you could say, listener feedback.
Yeah, kind of a little bit of feedback. I was, corresponding with a fellow podcaster by the name of Peter Rios. For those of you that don't know Peter or who he is, in my book, he is one of the G comic book podcasters. He
Hmm.
was a member of the Comic Geek Speak show. Actually, he was the producer for that show for many, many years. Definitely seeing it through its heights.
Oh yeah.
Peter was there, and we were conversing about something else, but he knows that I co-host the show, and Chris and I actually both have been on Peter's current show as
Yep.
well. Um, about halfway through or near the end of last year, we were on an episode, but we were corresponding about something different, and he said he wanted to add, by the way, Boom Addiction 13. So he's got a few to
Yeah.
listen to catch up. Um, with the throwback to Zombie Tales was great. I didn't realize it was Boom's first output. I had all those early titles, Hero Squared, which we also talked about,
Hmm.
Jeremiah Harm, which
Yep.
we haven't said, but Black Plague,
Oh yeah.
Exile,
Mhm.
Talent. It's like, wow, yeah,
Oh yeah.
I haven't heard those in a long time, but yeah, they're bringing back
Yep.
memories, et cetera, et cetera. Sold them years ago in one big boom lot, but those early days were fun to think about once more. And then I responded, and he said, "Oh, the more I think about it, I'm sure some of the appeal of those early boom books was because of people like Giffen and Wade, as you mentioned, and the quality was good. The stories, art, packaging, etc. Plus, wanting to pay attention to smaller press at the time because podcasting was so new. Hope you do more." As far as retro reviews, so
Oh
that
yeah.
was so when you get to this episode, thanks Peter for
Yeah.
bringing back some memories, and thanks for comic book podcasting, man. I don't know if you will admit it or not, but you have a lot to do with the fact that that all of these shows are out here now.
Oh, for
So
sure.
that's my tip of the hat to somebody that just really got things started. It's a story that really isn't going to hold the same resonance now, telling people about Comic Geek Speak, but at the time, listening to their shows and watching that show's fandom grow,
Hmm.
it was as fun as uh 90s Image comic
Oh yeah.
fans being,
Oh yeah.
and it was the same kind of excitement because it was that thing that was new. um Comic Geek Speak probably was one of maybe 10 comic book podcasts that were out at the time,
Oh
maybe.
yeah. Yeah.
um there's certainly, or not certainly, but there's a couple others that are still around in one form or another. But Comic Geek Speak is probably one of the 3 or 4 longest running comic book podcasts, and they're still coming out.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can tell if you go and look at the numbers because they have just maintained a sequential numbering of the main episodes. They've had all kinds
Mhm.
of offshoots and stuff. But yeah, just look at the number of the episode and you can see how many shows they've put out. Roughly one a week, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so yeah, so that was some kind
Yeah.
words that Peter threw at me while we were talking about something else.
Yeah. I mean, and and I know I've talked to you about this, and I've probably mentioned it a dozen times in the past over the years. But if it wasn't for, like you said, if it wasn't for Comic Geek Speak, if it wasn't for Brian and Peter putting that show out, because I remember listening, like when I got my um whatever those little the nanos or whatever the Apple was putting out, the
Sure.
little ones, the shuffles is what they were. That's
Okay.
what
Yeah.
I knew it would pop in my brain in a second. That was shortly after podcasts were starting to be a thing, and I immediately looked for comic book focused podcasts and found Comic Geek Speak, found Pipeline Podcast,
Right.
found CCL,
Right.
and iFanboy eventually, at some point.
You found
And
Jimmy Aquino's podcast
I
also.
found Jimmy's, found Word Balloon,
Yes. John
so
Huntress. Yeah,
and
those are the
found a couple other ones, but it was Comic Geek Speak and iFanboy and Pipeline for sure. Those
Mhm.
three were the ones that I could not wait for the next episode,
Right. Yeah. That
and
was
it was I had comic friends to talk to about stuff, but to have you know that many different people talking about just the stuff either I was reading or I wanted to read or even hadn't heard of because he's talking about smaller press stuff. You know, those those three podcasts were the ones that sort of got me into not reading Marvel and DC for a very long stretch of time
right.
and only focusing on the small stuff. But it was Brian and Peter and Connor and Ron and Josh who got me wanting to do podcasting. They're the whole reason that I even started Comic Addiction. The great thing for me was that I got to meet all of them at Heroes Con one year,
Yeah, when they
and
okay.
they were all there. I got to see a live recording of iFanboy,
Oh,
at Heroes
cool. Okay.
Con. They rented a small room. I mean, there's probably maybe a dozen people in there, um, but so I got to see how it got put together, how a show got put together. I got to talk to them a little bit about how they recorded, because I just really wasn't looking stuff up on the internet at that time. And by the time I got done talking with them and had decided on Sunday, I'm heading back home, I'm leaving Charlotte to go to Raleigh, stopped by a Best Buy on the way out of town, bought my bought a headset very similar to this one, but this is my work headset. Um, Plugged it into my laptop that I had
Yep.
and started recording Comic Addiction on the road right
Yeah.
then.
It's yeah.
So if it wasn't for that Heroes Con, I'm sure I'd eventually started doing podcasting. But having talked to them and seeing that excitement and seeing just what they had going on and everything, just I was like, yep, we're doing podcasting. This is a thing. I don't care. Um, so yeah, so I owe
And
a lot of doing podcasting and just you and I getting the chance to even meet um,
yep.
through all of that.
We
So
we met because of podcasting. Yeah.
yep,
And it's different now when someone discovers podcasts than it was then because yes, we discovered podcasts like people continue to do, but the people who were doing the podcasts were new
yeah,
because podcasts were new. So it was a completely different kind of energy
oh yeah,
than what you get from those podcasts that you like nowadays.
oh yeah,
Podcast is a good way to help honestly with reading comics, Doug. You hear about, as a matter of fact, there was a gentleman with CGS who is no longer with us, who introduced me to Strangers in Paradise.
yep,
And so anytime I interact with Terry Moore's world of books, I think of Strangers and I think of Jamie D. And in essence, what I owe him because he was such a big fan and he constantly pushed that series
hmm
until finally I'm like, okay,
you're
I
fine. I'll read
I
it.
gotta see. I gotta see. And he was absolutely right.
Yep,
And since about two-thirds of the way through the first volume of Strangers in Paradise, every Terry Moore series that has been in that universe, I have read, I have collected, I have
yep,
them on the other side of this wall here behind me. Uh, killer stuff. And I owe that to Jamie D.
yep. And I highly recommend if there's a particular show, especially I always like to go back and listen to old stuff just because I was I probably listened to it when it first came out, and much like comic books for me, it is always fun to go back and listen to old episodes, some of those early episodes, because you get to see like iFanboy is always, for whatever reason, I've always gravitated toward that podcast. I have sort of hemmed and hawed, listening to other stuff continuously, but iFanboy I've listened to every episode since 2005 or 2006 or whatever, and so but going back and listening to that old stuff, seeing how they interact now, how they interacted then, it's the same thing. You
Mhm.
know, they've
Yeah.
they've sort of quote unquote cleaned the format a little bit, but other than that, it's just a bunch of guys hanging out talking comics,
Yep.
which is all that I strive to do with our shows.
And just to put the final feather in mine and Chris's cap as far as our being podcast listeners, this time frame that we're talking about, for those of you who really don't know a whole lot about podcasting history, this was pre iTunes listing of podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
So these
Had to
shows
look
that were,
hard.
yeah, these you had to find an aggregator like, oh, I don't know, Podcast Pickle.
Oh yeah.
Um, so this was even before the podcasts were generally known, which is what iTunes did.
Yeah.
Everybody knew about them then. This was truly a hunt and peck method to try to find these things before iTunes.
Yep. And Delicate's on the biggest thing. If you check
Yes.
out our YouTube, he the number of recommendations
Oh man,
that
you
you
just
get from listening
yeah.
is staggering. I am not a FOMO reader or buyer, even though I think that's the case sometimes because I feel like I need to buy so many books, but it's because I listen to so many shows, and then those books that they talk about, it could have been a month ago that they talked about it. It's up here now.
Right.
And so when I go into the shop, I see either that series or that particular issue or that trade that they were talking about. Yeah, and it just like, oh no, I'm here. I see it. I I should read it. I should buy it. I should take it home with me and make sure that what they said is true because you know that's just how I consume comics now. So it's I if you follow me on Twitter, I constantly talk about, or I used to especially, talk about trimming my pull list and then not having a pull list and then having 30 or 40 issue or titles on my pull list because it depends on what podcast I'm listening to at the time. If again, iFanboy's the constant. But if I'm listening to, say, for that month or two, I'm listening to 10 other shows or 20 other shows, usually on 1.5 speed, just sort of, it's
Uh,
a Mickey.
yeah, no, that's me. 1.5 to 1.75,
Yeah,
just depending on the speech patterns of the people. Yep.
exactly. But yeah, so all that stuff stays in my head, and then I just like message or tell my LCS like, hey,
Oh,
add
hey,
this,
add
add
this,
this,
add
add
that.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
And then maybe a couple months later, I'm like, no, I've got too many bucks now. I need to cut back. Um, so, and then I turn around and sell a bunch of stuff, and then I'm like, nope. Now that I've got this cash, I can go buy some more. Yeah. So it's the recommendations I get from podcast listening is ridiculous, and I think that's a good thing.
And of course, it should go without saying what kind of fans of podcasting Chris and I are. So, I'll just throw that out there as well.
Yeah. So,
All right,
all
let's
right.
let's talk about some books, man.
Yeah, let's talk about some books. We had some news, some other news, but most of that stuff is like new stuff that's coming out. We'll talk about that when previews comes out.
Yeah, when they come out, yeah.
So
A couple of these are definitely going to be things I'm going to read, so we're going to be talking about them anyways when they come out.
All right, so what do you want to start with?
I'm going to start with Angel.
Cool.
And let me just make the comment that in some ways, this is not a user-friendly book. I had to read the whole thing twice in order to make a list of everybody's name.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because some of them are only said once in the whole book. And you have to.
Did you read the first issue?
Yes, but
Okay.
that was
All right.
a month ago. I
Okay.
don't
All
remember.
Didn't know if you read it now or with this second issue.
No, yeah, I read the first one, and I remembered about half of them,
Okay.
but not all of them. And some of them I remember, maybe from an episode or 2 of the show that I had
Right.
seen, or, here and there, but it struck me. I wanted to be sure. There's 8 characters. Yeah, yeah. Actually, those 8 characters take up the entire book,
Mhm.
this issue. And I had to read it and got about half of them. And then I had to go through because I'm like, oh, I know they said her name. I know his name was in there one time. Where was that? So, yeah, very, very interesting reading if you're not already up on the characters, even though this is not. Um, this is not a setting we know. This is an alternate universe. So this is the second issue that has appeared in this universe. Period.
Right.
So, you would think, well, then you would just need to know that no, these are characters that have been around since long running the TV show itself and everything.
Mhm.
So it's, these characters have been around for years and years. These aren't new characters for this universe.
Yeah.
Same characters in this setting. And I noticed too that in this being written by Christopher Cantwell, he has 2 books
Oh,
this
yeah.
week. Yeah,
Yep.
I didn't realize that until I was jotting the creators down. But Angel, I don't know, volume whatever, issue 2 here, created by Joss Whedon, written for us by Christopher Cantwell, illustrated by Daniel Bayliss, colored by Patricio Del Pesce, with color assist by Maria Agustina Vallejo. Uh, I wonder if they're related to Boris Vallejo.
Oh, wow.
Would that not be a cool connection?
That would be.
I don't recognize, not recognize. I don't recall seeing the name Vallejo come up very often. I don't think
No.
it's an often used name. So
And if
maybe there
you
is
hadn't have said Boris's
Boris.
name, I
Yeah,
would not have even thought about it. That's a name I hadn't
yeah.
thought about in years.
In, yep.
I still have
Um,
some of those trading cards. Oh,
and
sorry.
it's yeah, it's lettered by Becca Carey. We had looks like maybe 3 covers here for this one.
Mhm.
All right. So Angel is in actually, what it struck me as is a contraption from Jewish, I believe it's Jewish, maybe Yiddish. I apologize if that's offensive. Yiddish mythology called a divik, divot, divik. I think divik box,
Oh,
and it's
spirit box.
yeah, it's a mystical artifact. But here, it's very real. He got sucked into it, and Angel is fighting this creature. Um, I think throughout the issue, they do a little bit of research and settle on what kind of creature this actually is, but
Mhm.
we don't know until farther in the box. In the box? In the book. So that's where Angel is for a large part of the story for this issue. Then we have 2 groups. We have our downstairs group who are fussing over Wesley, having died, but
Yeah.
being alive, or having died. Well, yeah, I guess he did actually die.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have 3 more people upstairs interacting with a gentleman named Oz,
Mhm.
who is from another dimension, not this one, but is very similar to the Oz in their dimension,
Yep.
or and they are very similar to the characters from his dimension. So yeah, Oz goes into that just a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So downstairs, let's see, we have Cordelia, Spike, Wesley, and Fred, who are all fussing over Wesley, whether or not he's alive or he's dead, or what the nature of his state is, because he did die. He was stabbed.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
what happened to him? And actually, I think probably, although I wasn't aware that this type of creature was a part of their mythos, I think he must be a zombie
Oh, yeah.
because
Yeah.
he's putrefying. We find out a little bit later in the story, so that definitely struck me as zombie kind of material. Are there zombies in the Buffyverse? I didn't think
Yeah.
they.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't think they normally messed with zombies too much.
They don't come up very often, but they have come up.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm missing somebody who must be downstairs also. There's a dude named Chuck, I believe, that's should be downstairs also because upstairs is Oz and Lorne and uh, Fred.
I always forget. I forget who that kid is.
But definitely Oz and Lorne, and but there's a
Yeah.
third person. I think that's Fred up here. Lorne to me is the easiest person to remember because he doesn't look like anybody else.
Right. Yeah.
He's a demon. He's got green skin and little red horns. So he's I can remember his name. Yeah, see here on page 7 or page 8, they're all gathered here, and here's Chuck. He is a gentleman of darker persuasion who hadn't been in the actually in any of the panels in this book up until this one, where they're looking at this box that Angel is in. Now that we have moved on from Wesley,
Yeah.
which is not settled, but more importantly, is Angel is in this thing, uh, and we need to get him out. So Wesley, not Wesley, is it Wesley? Yeah, Wesley is he goes to do some research to find out how to free Angel. He's also the one that kind of determines the type of creature that Angel must be battling because of the situation and the fact that it's a miniature house and all these kind of things. Meanwhile, we do have several series of panels throughout the book of Angel and his fight. It looks like he defeats this creature, uh, but it's not the case. They find a spell that pulls Angel out of the box back into the real world as
Hmm.
we see it here, and so that's what ends the fight. Um, Later on, they believe that they have located a spell to get Angel back up to his normal size because when he comes out, he is size appropriate to the small church, which is what the box looks like. It looks like
Hmm.
a miniature church. So when he is extracted, he maintains the size for that situation and doesn't grow back to the real world situation. So in looking for a spell to return him to normal, that's where Wesley, with a little bit of research, determines the type of creature apparently that Angel was fighting. And the spell that they utter to fix Angel actually releases this creature, ghost
Hmm.
thing, evil feeling, manifestation, whatever it's they ultimately called it here, a sorrow demon, so it is a demon of some sort. They release it, and actually, actually, it does manage to grow to n- appropriate proportion for
Right.
having been
Yeah.
released. Angel didn't, but this demon does. And um, I think for the most part that was the story. There were some, some funny bits in here about Wesley and having to eat brains, and a funny scene about Angel having to take a phone call in his miniaturized
Right.
form.
Yeah.
So on top of the Angel being small and needing to find a way to grow, fighting this demon, Wesley being dead but not being dead. Those are all fairly serious plot points. There was an interjection by Cantwell a couple places of humor. One um, panel that stood out in my mind was where Angel went back into the box, the church, the whatever, to get a sword.
Hmm.
And these images of him in this crystal wall, I recognized Puppet Angel and I recognized the out of control angel that was in the middle from other things, other stories maybe I've read or whatever. So
Yeah.
um, I guess maybe that's showing. I mean, those are from in essence, our dimension, the real dimension.
Right.
And so he is seeing visions from that, and apparently from his reaction, they are things that he has not um, encountered, situations that he has not found himself in this dimension.
Right.
Because to me, it seemed like all of those were new to him, even though probably he recognized that they were of himself, but he didn't. He's not acting like, oh, these are all from my past, and it's
Right.
cool. I got over that. It's like, oh, shit, this is me kind of reaction. So, but yeah, I wanted to point that out. I don't know if in what, three more issues really, if they'll be able to get into that too much, since they have to go fight the demon and everything now.
Well,
They
this
have
is
to.
8 issues.
Oh, is it eight? Well, then
Yeah.
they might have enough room to for somebody to tell him what all this is.
Yeah. And he even makes like the sword that he goes back after. They don't really say why he actually did it. He just like all of a sudden just like I need to go after the sword.
Right, I got to get my sword back.
But it's when Cordelia asks him, what why did you run back in there for the sword? He's like, it just seems familiar. That's that sword is from the sword that he uses in the TV series, and has used in previous comic versions or volumes or whatever. So he apparently knows that it feels familiar, but
Right.
doesn't know that the significance of it.
There's a
He just knows
connection, but he
he
doesn't
needs
know
to.
the connection. Right.
Yeah, he just
Okay.
needs to have it. So I thought that was a nice little touch. But yeah, showing those visions of him, yes, are familiar for folks who know a little bit about Angel or have seen various things about him in the past. But him sort of having that same reaction of, or like, I don't know what any of this is, that was kind of interesting because I kind of forgot that this was taking place in a different universe,
Right.
and because everything seemed fairly normal, so and Oz, when he comes into this universe from his in the first issue, he's trying to figure out, okay, where are they similar as far as like timeline goes and stuff like that. So I don't know if that means that he's from the future of this universe or this particular group of characters, or he is trying to figure out if they're at least similar, and so
Mhm.
he can kind of get a grasp. So he knows where to go and who to go look for and who's a good guy and who might be a bad guy, those kind of things. So
Who was it that Hyper Potato referred to, not a common name? Did
oh,
you
I think he
notice?
was talking about Vallejo,
Oh,
about
okay.
Boris. Yeah,
Oh, Boris Vallejo. Oh,
yeah, because
okay.
that's definitely
Not a
an
common name. Okay,
uncommon name.
cool. Well, I mean, when I saw that last name, Boris instantly came to my mind, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, man! If there is that connection, that is art royalty in this country.
Oh, for sure. Good Lord, yes.
A different nature than comic book art, but
Right. Yeah.
art nonetheless."
hmm I've seen a ton of his stuff.
Oh, wow.
I used to own a an art book. I don't know if he published it or he just had a large section in it. But
Hmm.
I don't think I still have it though. But I remember having it like early or late 90s, early 2000s. I just remember having it. I don't know why. Um, but yeah, so
Yeah.
love his
Oh,
stuff.
no, that was Frank Frazetta. Okay. I was thinking that Boris Viejo was the death dealer picture, but that's
Oh
Frazetta.
no, that's Rosetta.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry.
for sure. All right, so I'm gonna leave Power Rangers to last because I think that's one you and I both can tackle.
Okay.
But I want to talk about Regarding the Matter of Oswald's Body. This is another Chris Cantwell book, which is kind of neat. I didn't put the two together until you mentioned it. I was like, oh yeah, it is two books.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I,
kind of
I
nice.
I wouldn't have put it together. Writing these down, I'm like, Christopher Cantwell. Why?
Yeah,
Where have I seen
I
that?
just
Oh, okay.
it's still doing an amazing job on Iron Man as well. So Cantwell can weave some tales. So this one's again written by Christopher Cantwell, illustrated by Luca Castellanguida?
Luca Casalanguida is
Canguida?
how I would throw it out. I could be just as wrong, or you could be right and I could be right. But
Well, we know Chris's track record. We know
that's what
that's
it
not
says in
true.
my mind when I look at that Casalanguida.
So we've got colors by Giada Marchiso,
Machicio.
lettered by And World Design. Designers are Marie Krupina and Michelle Inkley. Krupina?
Yeah, Krupina.
So.
And the designer for Angel was Grace Park.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't say that.
Good old Grace Park. So, so 4 issues into this miniseries. Um, um, so last issue had a lot going on, but the gist of it, of the last issue was because what's been going on is our heroes were they had uh, found a guy who looked like Lee Harvey Oswald for the most part. They killed him. Then JFK was shot, and then Oswald was shot,
Right.
much like it normally,
Yeah. Right.
in normal world works.
Right.
And in the
Right.
midst of all of that, like we knew where this was going, they were going to switch the bodies. Um, they were not. I don't think they were aware that Oswald was still alive. Because when
No.
he woke up, he in the back of their truck last issue, it seemed to surprise everybody.
Right.
Because wasn't
They
he in
were.
the cooler?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
They were taken by surprise for sure.
yeah. So that's how last issue ended, with him waking up in the cooler and like, hey, how you guys going or doing? So this issue, we get, I guess, we get a couple pages in 1981 where they've confiscated. Um, they
Exhumed.
exhumed. That's the word I was looking for. I don't know
There
if
we
it's
go.
confiscated. I don't know
Yeah.
where that.
Just it's the synonym with confiscated. Yeah.
Sure.
Exhumed, confiscated. Yeah.
Same thing.
That's cool.
So they exhumed Oswald's grave, and did DNA testing, or fingerprints, or I think no, dental records is what they
Yeah.
used.
Yeah. Dental records.
It is 81. So they used dental records, and they said yes, Oswald is in his grave. That is who he is there. It's not a conspiracy, which is what they didn't say that in the press conference, but that's what they were trying to allude to. So there was people thinking that was not actually Oswald that died
Yeah.
and buried, and Oswald was still out living. And apparently, that's where we're led to believe at the end of the last issue that that's actually what happened, is that they put a dead body in the grave and Oswald was still alive. So,
I have two questions based
sure.
on this page.
Okay.
Why do you think they're having the doctor cough?
I don't know.
Do you think he's poisoned or something like that
Well, that's a thing,
from the
and
body? Maybe.
I noticed like that seemed to be a specific panel. Like there was a
Oh,
reason for that.
exactly. And I mean, we only have one issue left. I don't know. I mean, is this like a doctor that if we went and did research in real life died under suspicious circumstances, maybe, and
Maybe
they're alluding to it here?
it might be interesting to kind of look into. I might
Did
do that.
did they ever exhume Lee Harvey Oswald in 1981? I mean, did
I
that
don't.
actually happen?
I don't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know
So
either.
that's the thing, because things have kind of like, when it comes to conspiracy theories, I don't know what's true and what's not. So I don't
Right.
know how much of this is actually Cantwell creating a story, how much of this is actually from stuff he's heard about, that kind of thing. But it, thus far, it's been a very interesting read.
Mhm.
Um, some of it I've kind of like, I don't know if I really. It's not that I didn't know if I didn't enjoy it, but I just felt like last issue was like, um, there's a lot of pieces on the board that are moving,
Mhm.
and I'm kind of, and I don't feel like I don't think the pacing has ever been bad. I just feel like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of detail,
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of yeah.
I don't know. most of the time I feel like getting a lot of detail, especially if it's plot driving, is good, and this is. But I don't know. I get a weird feeling when I'm reading this that like it doesn't feel right. I don't
Hmm,
know. It's a weird thing. It's a me thing. I totally
okay.
get that. But either way, so we get into this.
Ha hang on, one more
Okay, you
here.
got one more. Okay,
Yeah, is this Shep down here with the cowboy hat and the ring?
that's what I thought.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that was the
Okay,
first thing I thought. So
that's all. And it's the cowboy hat,
yeah,
the ring, well, but we see later on in the book why he may have the ring
yeah,
if, if we follow the story all the way around. So,
right,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay. And yeah, and I'll just say it now in case I forget to say it later,
okay,
which I know I won't, but I would have done the exact same thing
yes,
Yellow Rose did. I would have done it a lot
for
sooner.
sure,
Oh my
for sure.
goodness, this
S-
dude was just
Oh
ah,
my god.
okay.
All right, good. I'm glad you even brought that up because that's something I. So on page 6, if you're reading this in digital reader, so page 6 is when Oswald begins to weave his tale about how important he is and how unimportant he used to be and how unimportant our, and I'll keep referring to them as our heroes because that can mean so many different things.
He's
This
just he's a butt wipe, man. He
he
really
is a
is.
yes. So it
And
goes
I'm reading this and I'm like, man, was he really like that?
well, and that's the thing. I really
Phew.
wonder, but we
Oh,
go from page 6 to page 17,
yes.
11 pages of him weaving this story through days of interaction with these folks
And what
who
else
have
do you notice?
oh there's none of them get a word in edgewise.
No, none of them ever say
Yeah.
anything. His are the only word balloons for all those pages.
So it is 11 pages
Oh
over
my
the course of
goodness.
several days of Lee of Harvey Oswald explaining himself, how big he is, the
Why
world he
he
wants to
is
create.
and no one else is. Why the country isn't, why these 4 aren't, why the people who hired him or whatever aren't, why it's just like, "Oh my goodness."
and
1, 2, 3,
and
4,
then
5, 6.
she
Actually,
unloads
I think
on
she
him.
emptied the pistol.
She emptied easily the pistol. She may
There
have had time to reload.
there's 6 shots here in the full
Yeah,
page
you're
panel,
right.
so
There are.
I and it looks like it's a 6 shooter, but yeah, it was and it's funny, it's just out of nowhere. They're all out here in this field and he is just continuing to talk. They're just standing there and all of a sudden pow, pow, pow. It's like,
So,
"Thank you. Thank you."
so 5 pages. Let's see. Hold on. Let me flip back.
My goodness.
Where was it? I forget exactly where it was, but I think 4 or 5 pages back, I was thinking in my head, will someone either scream at him,
Oh,
slap him, shoot him, something? Like I knew Cantwell was writing this to make him annoying, to
right, yeah,
grate on you.
there was a point, yeah.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It was annoying. It brought every visceral
I don't
emotion that I could have.
I don't
That
know how long it's been since I was this annoyed just reading
right.
something. I was yeah.
So when she shot him 6 times, killing him dead, probably more than he needed, um, I laughed out loud. I
And
was in
she
thanked.
she puts it perfectly, and I'm going to read what is in this book. For those of you that may
Yeah.
be offended, I apologize, but this is so poignant. She's standing over the body. The other
Oh
3
man.
guys are just mystified by what she just did, and she says, "I'm sorry, but I just really needed him to shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Thank you." Yes.
Yep. I stood up from my desk and applauded.
Oh, man. Oh, yes.
And the
Thank you.
greatest thing about it is they kind of like she's apologizing. I know I've screwed up. We're probably all already gonna get killed because of this and that. And all of them were like, "Yep, we'd have done the same thing."
Oh, yeah, they're all agreeing with her. Yeah,
Yeah,
that probably
you
was the
did it
wrong thing to
sooner
do,
than
but
I would have,
I would
but
have done it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that those kind of things. So
Oh, man,
so
yeah.
it was great. And so they get in they get in the car and then leave.
And all of
Well, they bury him,
this,
and then
yeah, and they took his ring and
yeah,
buried him. And this occurred in roughly 2 days.
yeah,
His continual talking, because after they bury him and they leave, the phone rings in the house where they're
hmm
staying, which is a signal for a portion of the plan that was known ahead of time. They knew
yeah,
they just had to be in this house until the phone rang, should be a couple days, and so all of this occurred in that couple days, basically, except for just a handful of hours here at the end. Dude talked nonstop. They never said anything until they finally had enough.
yeah. And so the
Ugh.
last page is them driving off, going, "Let's just see how much of a head start we can get." And I feel going into the fifth issue, being the last part of this miniseries, that this is like I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, where these people end up.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, we're making an assumption that that they're still alive in '81, or at least some of them are. So I guess we'll find out. But it's you know where I sort of had it's sort of like I wasn't quite enjoying it last issue. This issue, while it
Mhm.
annoyed me, was done obviously purposely. Um, I felt like this issue really was the saving grace for me, and I was like, okay, I'm on board. I'm really looking forward to seeing how
Yep.
we get to the end here with issue 5. So I applaud Mr. Cantwell for this. It was a great issue.
Well placed, well needed.
Oh,
It
for
was,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we'll wrap up this week's books with Power Rangers number 16. This is the last part, I guess, the epilogue of the Eltarian War. This is written by Ryan Parrott, illustrated by Francesco Mortarino, with ink assist by Christian Prunsetti, colors by Raul Angelo. Is that right? Angelo? Angelo?
Angelo. I
Letter
think.
by Mr. Dukeshire. And designer is Madison Goyette. So lots of covers in there as well, and a lot of really great people doing artwork on those. I recognize pretty much all those names. So good stuff. So we have not been talking about the Eltarian War. I think I started talking about it when it first launched or first started, because I was making the effort to go through and get as much of an understanding of Power Rangers and Mighty Morphin as I could. Um, I got some of it, didn't get all of it, and felt like I was being overwhelmed, not because of anything other than just lack of knowledge. That's all it was for me. I was trying to learn stuff, couldn't learn it all. It is definitely, if I had never read the X-Men books and you gave me
Th-
House and Power of X,
This would
I
be
would be the
very
same
similar.
way.
Yeah. Wow.
so
Yeah.
so a lot going on, a lot of knowledge that's necessary. Um, Enjoyed bits and pieces of it, appreciated sort of the scope of what was going on, but just couldn't get into it. So this issue, as far as I can tell, is the epilogue of the whole Eltarian War. Everything happened. Everything's over. Bad guys have been defeated. They have either run off into the galaxy uh, with their tail between their legs, or some have been captured. Um, and then so this issue opens up with Zordon and Zed on the moon after the battle. Zordon is in a containment suit because his containment uh, field, the container thing that we all are familiar with seeing the big floating head in, was damaged, and so Billy had created this suit, which is just a big armor suit with a nice clear helmet, so you could still see his big blue floating head. Um, but he got to be in that. Um, but that's damaged. He's losing, compression or whatever. So they need to do something quickly about it. But at the same time, it's just him and Zed, um, and Zed sort of because the two of them have history together. They're used to be friends and all this other stuff. Zed, Zordon had sacrificed sort of his well-being to defeat their other friend who is now the bad guy. I forget what his name is, but he was a choice, and so he chose to save Zed over trying to not kill his friend or not defeat. I forgot how it happened. Anyway, beside the point. But Zed understands the sacrifice that was made, and so in doing so, he returns Zordon to the Rangers or to his base, and then he goes back to he returns to the moon. And then the remainder of this issue is sort of, it feels like, and we sort of mentioned it before, where we thought this might be Ryan Parrott's last issue. It's sort of a lot has gone on, and he is doing that thing a writer does when they're leaving the series, is sort of putting everybody, not putting everybody back where they were, but sort of putting everybody in a sort of stable location. And so everybody knows where everybody is, for the most part. Drakon is off in space, but that's kind of it. That's all we know what he's doing right now. But but pretty much everybody else, all the Rangers, all the Zeds, minions, and everybody, they're in their place. Some things have changed because they helped the Rangers, fight in this battle or in this war, and did well. They were given a choice. They could, remain on Earth and sort of work with the Rangers, because they obviously showed that they, were willing to do so, for the sake of the Earth. But they, also were given the option of going back to the moon and just, being one of Zed's minions. They chose to return to Zed. Zed also did something that was pretty interesting. He sort of, when they returned to him, sort of treated them like he used to treat them. And then they started to lie to him, much like they always do. But then he questioned why they actually returned to him, because he knew that they had been given a choice. And so some honesty was given, and so, not that I felt like there was some new relationship between all these villains and whatever, but I do think they're not, or at least it seems like they're not going to be treated sort of as the bumbling idiots they once were. I think Zed had sort of realized, these are formidable, allies. So probably not seeing them on the same level as he is, but it's pretty close. He's it's not this number anymore. Yeah. So it's not like they're so separated. So that'll be an interesting thing to check out in the future and kind of see how that plays out. Again, everybody else is sort of put in a place, and it's a very long epilogue of explaining all of this stuff, and I feel it's a good way to sort of end things. If this is Ryan Parrott's last issue, I think it ends well. I think he's done an extremely good job with this.
I think it's Mighty Morphin he's leaving.
Oh, okay. That would make sense.
I think he's sticking with this one.
Okay. So that being the case, that'll be interesting. Him to co-write with somebody.
Which
probably, I mean, he's got all the Radiant Black and Radiant Red and all of that whole Image superhero universe that he's creating right now. He probably does need some reprieve on these characters. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I want to come back to and just sort of touch base every so often, just to see what's going on with these characters. But probably it's not gonna be a thing I'm gonna read every month. I'll try, but we'll see. It's a busy week, maybe not. But
well, I think it's going to turn out a lot to be like Buffy. Anytime you step in, you're going to be stepping into this fleshed out universe.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And if you don't want to do the legwork to get to that point, along with everyone else that has been reading since the beginning, you're going to feel left out. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
so
That's true.
and not only the comic book series, but potentially what 20 some seasons of TV show also
Oh
if
yeah.
if they're
Yeah.
pulling from that. So I mean, yeah, that's I think that may even be more back matter than any X-Men character or anything. So
Yeah, and I mean, and I know, and I think I've mentioned on the show before the Power Ranger wiki or whatever the
mhm,
source that I went to, they don't consider the comics canon, but you're right. I do think that the comic recognizes all of the TV show elements that have happened in the past and pull from those
mhm,
for for storylines and history and stuff like that. So yeah, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of backstory that this stuff is being pulled from. So yeah, so if you've missed out on any of that stuff, I I have felt, again, sort of coming into this book every so often, I don't really let 6 or 8 issues go by before I check back in. It's usually
mhm,
every 3 or 4. I feel like there's not a ton that has there's not like huge time jumps and stuff like that.
right,
So I think that Parrot has done a good job of maybe not completely catching you up and doing all the work for you, but has given readers enough, like new readers and returning readers enough to sort of go, oh, okay, well, this is a thing that happened here. I vaguely remember this. Those kind of things. I think there's enough there that enough breadcrumbs that you can sort of find your way,
mhm,
if you really wanted to. If not, as this is a separate issue, just standing on its own, I think it sort of, I mean, it focused on a whole lot of characters. I felt like everybody got you know good screen time and got a decent amount of dialogue, and and the art in it is really good. I mean, it's probably some of the cleaner art, um, that I've seen, you know, in series that, these kind of superhero
right,
books, that are out now. I think that's been a fun part for me, at least, is coming in knowing I'm going to get some exciting sort of action sequences and good clean artwork, and I'm going to know who everybody is, at least visually.
right,
And not kind of go like, oh, well, that guy looks like that guy, and that guy look, I don't get any of that stuff. Um, so it's nice to see. But yeah, so yeah, I'll probably check out Mighty Morphin if that's going to be his last issue, just to see kind of how it rounds out, and see if he does really put all the toys back on the shelf like he found them, and then moves on, from that series at least, and then see where it goes from there. Yeah. But you said you checked this one out too,
mhm.
and kind of.
Uh, it was. I mean, the of course I got the big beats.
Mhm.
Um, it's not an uncommon type of story to either end a storyline, to end a war storyline, to end, so there were a lot of common beats as far as the two bad guys kind of meeting and acknowledging that each other is still kind of cool, but I'm still going to continue to think the way I'm thinking and
Right.
going, very Xavier Magneto,
Mhm.
just to be honest. Um, the opposing groups going their separate ways, and some people um, admiring others and some not, and the the blue girl returning to Earth and revealing that she was the alien. That's
Right.
a returning home after the war and coming clean about something. That's a a trope, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe trope is not the word that you should use. Plot line. Okay. Um, the the um, puppety animatronic bad guys all going back to Zed, and even after they turned on him, kind of crawling back to him and him saying, I understand what you were doing. It was wrong, but I'd have done the same thing, and kind of encircling in his big evil hug, and they're all good.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was very familiar, large trappings in the story.
Yeah.
The specifics are what I didn't necessarily get. I didn't necessarily understand who everybody was. um, the significance with this person interacting with that person, and some of the finer details like that. But overall, as the book, it seemed like an entertaining way to tie up the type of storyline that I thought it
Mhm.
was. And again, that's it's an at war storyline. So
Yeah.
everybody's
Yeah.
going home who survived, and so it was okay. I mean, I like I say, just it was kind of hollow because a lot of those specifics I didn't know.
Right.
The artwork was interesting enough that it didn't push me away from reading the book, even though
Mhm.
I didn't know a lot about what was going on. So that kind of kept me in also. It's funny. I understand. I am. I'm a dad of two sons. Both of them watched Power Rangers growing up.
Mhm.
So I watched, though I may not have paid attention to,
Right. Yeah.
uh, Power Rangers and all of their different incarnations. In that setting, this dude walking around with a big Z sticking out of his head
Mhm.
worked.
Yeah.
Drawing that in a comic book, it just seems damn goofy. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
In the realm of the allow me to throw out the big word here, the tokusatsu world. Um, okay, that's part of what that is,
Mhm.
but you don't have to draw it in a comic book because it's not going to translate, I don't think.
Right.
But there it was, and so every time I saw him, I was like, why are you doing that? Get rid of that thing. We know who he is just because of the color and the outfit he's with. You don't have to have that big Z on his. Yeah.
Well,
So
he did take the helmet off at the end of this
at the
issue.
end, yeah, and
Yeah.
we didn't see
Yeah.
what was underneath it at this point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm sure that probably is for a reason.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was entertaining. I read it last after Angel and Regarding, so it filled kind of the slot in the evening's reading that those 2 did not. So it's
Right.
like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's again, it's one of those series. I mean, both of them, this and Mighty Morphin, much like Go-Go, Power Rangers was. I want to I want to enjoy it more than I do, and I don't know if it's I'm and when I say I'm not putting the work in, it's not that I feel like I need to read 40 issues or 50 issues or anything like that. It's just I'm sure I could easily, if I sat down and read a few issues, sort of put draw the lines together in my
mhm,
head. It's that kind of thing. It's so putting the work in means for this situation, just reading a story arc in one sitting. So it's all I'm not putting any kind of space or distractions,
right,
in it. So that may be all it takes. And so going back, and I have not read the whole Eltrian War. I read the first 2 issues and then reading this. So there's a whole 4 or 5 issues there that I didn't read. So maybe sitting down once this trade comes out, which
and
might
just
be a good way to read
reading the
it.
trade, yeah,
Yeah. So I may do that. I want to get into this series. I really do. I mean, I read, and I've talked about it before. I read the previous volume. It's sort of staggering. I read the first like 12 issues and then didn't read it for 10 or 12 issues. Then sort of read the last, I guess, quarter of the series or whatever I forgot what issue it ended up at, but read the last 4 or 5 issues or whatever, not realizing that was going to
yeah,
restart.
right.
So, um, so I've enjoyed it. I don't think I've ever read any of it and not, but it's just sort of like at the time it's kind of fluff reading.
Right. Oh yeah.
Because I'm not
Yeah.
really getting super into it as far as like the lore of it. But and we've talked about it before. It is kind of its own X-Men esque sort of universe. I mean, there's a lot going on, and if you're not willing to pay a little bit of attention, you're not going to catch some things. And so,
Right.
yeah. And I can't believe I've talked this long about Power Rangers and in a episode of the show. I did not plan on talking about
Well, there you
a lot
go.
of Power Rangers. So there you go. So we'll kind of
It's
wrap it
the
up.
wonders of podcasting.
Yep. So, but yeah, those are the three books that we're going to talk about. Again, we would have talked about the Greg Pak, Jonathan Colton book if both of us had paid a little attention to who was involved. But it is also a very lengthy book, so it would have been really, I think, a struggle for me to find the time. I forget how many pages it is. I think it's only 40 some pages. So it's not as long as I was thinking it was in my head. But yeah, it does look really good. The art in it looks really, really nice in these preview pages that I've seen. So excuse me, I said earlier there was a boombox. It's a Kaboom book. Excuse me. So that really kind of puts it as far as the age group and everything that it's for. So, but yeah, I'll hopefully I can find a copy of it on the shelf. Like I said, I might pick it up and give it to a niece or nephew and let them take a look at it after I sort of flip through it, just to get a little taste of what's going on in there. So, all right, anything else we want to talk about before we get out of here?
I don't
Uh-oh.
think so.
Are you
Miyazawa.
sure?
What did Miyazawa do on this book? See the colorist?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look at the credits.
Here we go. Art. He's the artist. Written by Pak and Colton. Art by Miyazawa. Pak and
Oh, yeah.
Miyazawa, they did that.
Is that the
It's
Mech?
yes, it's been optioned. That's been
Yeah,
optioned
Mech Cadet
for.
U. Yeah,
Yeah. They were the duo that did that. Okay,
it was a good
sorry.
book. Yeah.
Yeah, I just free thinking. I thought that's that's the problem with not writing it down, is I
Well,
get
yeah,
taken off by things like
that's
that.
why we don't have show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought I recognized when I saw Miyazawa. I'm like, why are
Why did I
he and
see that?
Pak? Yeah, Pak and Michael Nakazawa. Yeah, okay. So, anyways,
There you go.
but it's Greg Pak.
Yep. All right, so I guess that'll do it. So you can come by the website and check us out there. That is boomaddiction.com. Check out all the current episodes or the season 3 episodes of the podcast. They're all there. You can also come check us out on our Facebook group, which is Fans of Boom Studios. You can join it. There's no charge whatsoever. You can just come in, join, and just be part of the conversation. Be part
There
of
we
the
go.
community.
Cool beans.
Definitely, you can come by our YouTube channel, which is linked in our show notes. It's just look for Boom Addiction. Just search for that, or come by the website and click on the link. Either way, come by there. All of our live shows are there. We're not doing anything special as far as breaking those things down or doing any other videos. So if you missed out on the live show, you can check out the whole episode there. If you would like to come check out the live episode or live recording, we are now doing them on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard. We'll be live about 9. We'll probably start doing the actual show about 9:15 or so. So all of you are welcome. Yeah. All of you are welcome to come join us and interact with us in the chat. Doug, as always, has been part of that, and then Hyper Potato jumped in there at the latter part of the show, which we're always happy to see everybody in the chat. So come join us there. And so we're trying to grow that community. Let's see. You can contact us through our email. It's boomaddiction@gmail.com. I looked earlier today. None of you had contacted me. Not even the Nigerian prince will email me. So that's just a thing. I'm getting used to it. It's okay. I don't cry as much anymore. It just is what it is. So you can come follow us and chat with us on Twitter. You can follow the show at Boom Addiction. You can follow Ed at Teal Productions. Follow me at Chris Parton. That is the quickest and easiest way to get in touch with us because both of us have that attached to our phones and probably have Twitter pulled up on our screen most of the day.
Most of the day. Yeah.
So message us. If we don't respond to you immediately, it's not that we're ignoring you, is that sometimes we actually do things during the day. Sometimes. So not all the time. So you can do that. Let's see. Is there other ways that you can get with us? I think that's really it. If you're listening to the audio podcast, we are on various podcast catchers. If you have an opportunity to review us, I know Spotify allows for star ratings now. So if you are listening to us on Spotify, that'd be cool if you give us a rating that way. iTunes or Apple Podcasting is what it's called now, I guess. We talked about old podcasts. iTunes is the only thing stuck in my head now. But you can leave reviews that way. Obviously all that stuff helps with the algorithm, and that's pretty much what we listen to now is whatever the algorithm tells us.
Yes.
So must appease the algorithm.
We are bitches of the algorithm.
Yes. So do that. That'd be cool. If you don't, you can still listen. We're not going to hold it against you. We'll never know. So it's just one of those things. But we appreciate all of you listening, and that's the biggest thing. Just listening and coming on the show and chat and watching us on YouTube as we kind of navigate and figure all this stuff out. Because we're behind, but we're still having a good time doing it. I think that's it. I don't think I've missed anything. If I did, I apologize.
We'll get it next time.
Yeah, we'll get it next time because that's what we do. So episode next week is episode 31. So that'll be fun. As always, thank all of you for listening. Ed, thank you. As always, every week, every episode,
sir,
for hanging out and chatting some comics.
Glad to be here.
And we will expand that in March and see what other books we can talk about, because you and I have done that in the past. We have talked about other comics.
Yes, other than Boom Books, we did for a little while. Yes,
it does happen every once in a while. Happens in the pre-show.
Yes,
from time to time.
Yeah.
So we have to squeeze it in whenever we can. So other than that, we'll catch all of you next week. Goodbye.
Thanks, Doug.
All right, so that's the end of the show. Before we end the broadcast, Doug, I'm glad you're still here. I saw that you followed me on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I also saw. Do you still live in Cary? If so, the only reason I say that is I work in Raleigh. Well, I don't. I work in Youngsville because that's where I live, but my office is in Raleigh. So that was just kind of funny when I saw your Twitter profile says Cary, North Carolina. I was like, that's just right down the road. So I am curious now if you shop locally, who your comic shop of choice is, because I think I've shopped them all, and so I think they're all great. Don't get me wrong. It's just nothing in the Raleigh-Cary area for me right now is even close. So, but yeah, no, I saw that. I meant to follow you back. So there we go. I fixed that. So now I'm following you back. So cool stuff. And yeah, I do realize that there's a delay. So I'm asking Doug a lot of questions and then not giving him the time to actually respond.
Well, he can respond on Twitter if we're not on here.
Yeah. So
he can DM you now that you followed him.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, yep. Cool. So
yes, I do. Cool.
All right. Well, maybe we'll chat a little bit on Twitter tomorrow or whatever, and get kind of caught up that way, Doug. That'd be cool. drop me a message or whatever. Let me know what shop that you go to, because that'd be kind of cool. 'Cause I guess in Cary it's either Ultimate or maybe even Capital Comics that you're oh, you're in Ultimate in Cary. I dig that shop. That's a cool shop. I honestly wish I have a history with Ultimate Comics, and it's only one location, and it's dumb things I should easily get over. But that but that Cary store
Wow.
is I really wish that store was the one I could go to because it's a really really cool looking store. I haven't had a chance to really interact with anybody much who works there, but it's a cool looking job. I when they first opened it up, they had a big dollar or not even that. It's like 3 for $1 sale, and I went ballistic in there. I bought I bought more copies of Battle Chasers than I think that is.
Oh, okay.
I bought I now own all but like 2 or 3 issues, but I own like of the issues that I do have, I own all the variants now. Just I got them all from that sale, except for like any of those American Entertainment, variants,
Right. Yeah.
but just the regular ones. So, but yeah, Ultimate Comics, I like them. Alan, for some reason, Alan and I follow each other on Facebook. He connected with me that way. Who owns Ultimate? So he's a pretty decent guy. But haven't had a whole lot of interaction with them. So, but Ultimate's cool shop. Capital Comics is also a cool shop too. Ken and those guys. So, but anyway, that's it for us. We're going to end the broadcast. Thank y'all for joining us, and we will catch y'all next Thursday. Goodbye.
Ciao.
Do the circling. I don't know if it's